See if it'll let me do YouTube anyway.
Hey everybody, this is our first live one here. We are playing with text, so just give us a minute while we confirm everything working. John, are we live or is this still the practice session?
We are live.
Sweet. Well, welcome everybody. This is season 4 of the Goat Marketing Show. We are switching gears this season. A big part of what we're going to be focused on, number 1, is delivering content more weekly than seasonal. And number 2, we are going to focus this entire season on AI. And the main reason we're going to be focusing on that this year is because we have found that that is the topic of conversation. That's what everybody wants to learn. It's on top of everybody's mind. And given what's going on in the economy, we want to find ways to drive efficiency, but not when people get their budgets cut and not doing less marketing, but finding ways, how can we leverage AI to help you accomplish and do more? So we're going to be diving in a lot of that. But John, Ben, welcome to the show. I know today we're going to be more casual. You guys have been leveraging it for our clients pretty much for 18 months now. What have you seen as some of the biggest evolutions, let's say, just over the last 6 months with some of the integrations that we've used and some of the work we've done? Ben, you go ahead first.
Well, we're a small team at Giant Goat. There's now 4 of us. For a long time, it was just 3 of us. And so the biggest change that I've seen since even just starting is the scale of work we can say yes to. When you enable AI, especially for a company that we specialize in content marketing, when you start leveraging AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting, it allows your mind to be freed up to do a lot of the creative thinking, which becomes that really valuable piece. And so when we are scoping out a new client, we can end up saying yes to a lot more because we know we'll be able to deliver a lot more. Our strategies can be more complex because we know the tools to tap into to create like a full integrated marketing communications plan. And we don't have to necessarily trim down and say no to a lot of stuff. So that's just been the biggest change, is like the efficiency and our ability to deliver content means that our strategies can become more complex and effective.
I will tell you this, Ben's being awfully humble because I've seen the growth in some of the campaigns the teams pushed out. And I will tell you, from what he said when we went taking on more, it went from, managing some social campaigns, maybe some email, to producing completely omni-channel campaigns that include PR, email sequences, all of the socials aligned, the ad copy, the ad creative. Like, it is a full-scale omni-channel campaign that normally you would need a team of 6 to 8 people to execute. But I have to give credit to our entire team. They have been the ones that have pushed this through and developed the workflows that make it happen. But one of the things that's really impressed me that you guys have done is how you've been able to execute the context of a campaign. It's not just that you're producing volumes across all these channels, but it makes sense and it's following a linear journey. So John, maybe talk about, you've done most of that. I know we've done one for a legal campaign recently, but John, if you can touch on what that work has been like and what you've experienced as you've implemented some of those.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say to your first question too, was the biggest thing is the workflows and there's so many tools out there that just fit into every niche that we kind of work in. And if you learn how to use all these tools in succession and in like synergy with each other, it's really easy to build a workflow where you can turn things out really quickly. And using things like ChatGPT in terms of your second question, setting the context there in something like ChatGPT goes so far into creating meaningful content and producing things at the right time for the right person and the right step of their journey. And we've been slowly building out our ChatGPT libraries to have that depth of context where we can just so quickly turn things out that are exactly what they need to be when they need to be that. So it's been really cool to learn and kind of a lot of it's trial and error, right? Where we've been just, experimenting with things and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And it's been cool to kind of figure out how we can really get efficient and do exactly those things that you're talking about.
It's funny, speaking of experimentation, some of my favorite things we get in our Teams channel is like when you guys had broke Chat GPT previously, and even I take pride as like, look, we got it to break. It didn't work anymore. So for those of you who are new to it, or you're just starting to play with Chat GPT, try to break it. And please share that with us because we find joy in it. But out of all honesty, I think one of the best things you can do is just experiment, get in there, play around. One of the coolest things, and one of the things we're going to promise you for us, that we don't believe in any hidden secrets. What we're going to share with you, the things we're doing and learning. I want everybody to be on the cutting edge, whether you're an agency owner, whether you're a client, whether you're a freelancer. Like, we want to just share this openly because there's so much to be learned. It's moving so quick. If you learn something new, post it in any of the comments of our videos or in any of our channels. But right now, at the time of airing this, one of the coolest things I have seen, and this goes to John's comment about context, Chat GPT has actually enabled a setting where you can program its intent. So you can specify who you are as that person. So you can develop like your overall company, for example. You can set it and say, hey, I'm this company. This is my goal. This is how I'm going to be using Chat GPT. And then there's a second section that says, hey, these are the types of things I'm looking for you to help with. And you can be very specific about, I want you to take a marketing leadership role and help me with email campaigns, marketing automation, customer journeys, social campaigns. And when you set that context, everything you do in there just becomes so much cleaner. And part of this season, what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to share our screen live. We'll do some live examples. We'll show you how it works. And the funny thing about doing this live like we're doing, you're going to see where we struggle and how we troubleshoot things. It's not going to be this tight, cleanly edited thing. It's just, that's the iterations we go through to make them work. Some of the longer workflows we'll pre-record and send them to you. But for the most part, you guys are coming along the ride of just a live experiment of how we're using it, where we're integrating it, and hopefully how you can benefit by using it as well. Anything you guys want to add, or things you've seen over the past little while that surprised you with Chat GPT?
So I want to ask you a question about
Fire
it,
away.
because when AI like really took off in the mainstream at the end of last year, beginning of this year, it felt like there was a fork in the road for a lot of people, where half the people were like, this is Armageddon, like my job is ruined, like what am I going to do, how are we supposed to function with this is the scariest thing that's happened in a long time. And other people were like, this is awesome, this is the best thing that's happened for my career, we can do so much with it. What made you want to pivot our model to double down on AI, as opposed to trying to find ways to do what we normally did to kind of undermine this growth? Like, why did we make that pivot? What did you see that kind of made the dollar signs in your eyes start spinning?
Look at you on episode 1 dropping like these deep questions. Short answer is it's massively impactful. Like, it will make a huge impact and it'll allow businesses to do more. The longer answer is kind of twofold. One, I'm very much an optimist and an entrepreneur. So when I see opportunity, I want to leverage it, and success loves speed. So the longer we wait to integrate, the farther we fall behind. And AI is moving at such a rapid pace. Like, if you do not grab on and get on that train, you will miss it. It'll be very difficult to catch up. From a business perspective, and my belief in entrepreneurship is, our goal is to enable other businesses to scale so they can make an impact and help people. To not use AI is limiting our customers' ability to scale and grow. So it's just a forcing function of scale that people have to use. If I can find a way to cut a task that used to take 10 hours down to 1, it means that my time, my team's time, and the company's time can be spent focusing on either innovation or doing more meaningful tasks. And as an agency, the thing that excites me the most, and what impresses me with how well you guys have taken the reins, is we now can go grab a campaign and execute it as if we were an agency getting charged $50,000 a month, like some of the top tier agencies for small businesses. And when I realized that that was the opportunity, it was a no-brainer, because now we can execute the types of campaigns that we're attacking their ideal clients from every possible angle. They're going to see us at the top of the funnel with awareness. We can produce podcasts at a scale that normally would have been $20,000 an episode, like high fidelity, but because of the efficiencies, we found mechanisms to do it more efficiently. And then we can break the content down and drip it in sequence to nurture the customer's journey until they buy, and even after. But without it, I mean, just the hours copywriting. I mean, John, how long would, prior to using it, like if you've done a couple one-to-one comparisons, how long would it take you to write from scratch, brainstorm the idea? Like, is 5 to 8 hours pretty accurate?
It's silly. It's silly how much time it saves. Like the thing that I can do in, I think starting out before, when, 6 months ago, when I would have tried to write something, if I had tried to write a tweet, even that probably would have, one tweet probably would have taken, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes just to think of it and workshop it and get it all out. I can do that in 15 to 20 seconds now that I have the context in ChatGPT. And so I could, in the time that it would have taken me to write one, I can probably write 100 now. It's ridiculous.
See, Ben, going back to your question, like most agencies, they'll panic a bit because they will look at it as like, oh, well, how can we justify what we're charging?
Right.
But the thing is, if you understand your customer well and you're looking at the customer journey, and our goal as a partner to our clients is our job is to help acquire clients. Just because we can do it more efficiently or just because we can increase volume, we're tied more to the outcome than we are just necessarily like project-based billable hours. It's more about the value add of, hey, now we have a tool to execute a better plan. We can accomplish more of the things, and we don't have to shoestring our budget to the point where, hey, I can only produce like maybe 1 or 2 episodes of content, and then maybe a retargeting campaign. Now we can do what's necessary to help them go attract clients they need.
100%. I mean, it's one of the harshest criticisms of AI is, if your email campaign that used to take 10 hours to write now takes 1, why isn't your budget 10% of what it used to be? And one of the things I've learned from you, speaking of harsh criticism, is you're a harsh critic of campaign-based marketing in terms of what agencies do. But when you look at AI in a sense of this holistic marketing communications plan, your time that you're not spending just typing out words in an email campaign, you're using to, review analytics on an account, come up with strategy for your next quarter. Like, the value is still there. It's just moved to things that are, in my opinion, and I'm sure you share, more impactful.
100%. It's funny, if you look at this, like we went through a similar iteration back in the 1920s with the automobile. I mean, when the automobile came here, we went from manual production to automated production. Everyone's like, oh my God, I'm not going to have a job. I'm going to be out. Like, I can't justify my being. All that changed is the skill set and like how we leverage tools. Instead, I learned to be like, hey, I'm a specific operator on the assembly line. The thing is, now instead of just focusing, hey, like I've got to write this long thing or I've got to produce this one video, it can be, hey, now as an agency, we can really focus in on what does it take to get new customers or to get our existing customers to buy more. And we can do the right things because we're not limited in time of only being able to do so much in a given quarter, given year, et cetera. And that's the part, like the truly good companies are going to scale even faster now because more people are going to learn about them.
And you mentioned writing. I think a lot of fear came from copywriters feeling like they would be replaced, but in reality, it's not replaced. It's just changed. We still need copywriters. AI isn't perfect. Honestly, it's perfect like 0% of the time. It'll maybe get you like 70% of the way there. You still need someone who knows how to, grammar check, who can add a human spin to it. People are pretty aware of, some of the vanilla content that AI can come out. You need a creative person. It just means they can now do more. You almost become a producer as opposed to a writer, right?
That's
100%.
I have a lot of fun with that when I'm writing on ChatGPT, because it'll come up with something and I'll think, okay, that's cool. And then it gets my mind thinking in a different train of thought that I wasn't on before. And it at least allows me to tap into some form of creativity, even if it's not writing it itself. It's at least giving me the ideas and a foundation to to go do something that I wasn't thinking of initially. So it is a lot like being a producer. Like it gives you the ideas and then you can run with that and take it wherever you need to go. It's pretty fun.
It's almost like having a stenographer, like in a courtroom, like, and helping guide it. Cause I cannot type as fast as that thing does. And it's funny. I played my kids when I was doing something the other day and my kids came over and they were like, hey, just to look in the screen, like, how do you type that fast? That's incredible. And I just wouldn't tell them. I'm like, well, that's what I do for a living. And they just laugh. They think I'm the fastest typer in the world. I'm not letting that pass at all.
Until they learn about it in a couple of years, right?
Oh yeah. They'll probably build a business using ChatGPT in like the next 6 months, and they're only 7 and 9. So I have no doubt they'll take over the world, or at least replace me very quickly.
Well, you even think about us, like the technological gap in the age groups now, where it's like we've grown up with email and so we know how to do it and we're very comfortable on tech and social media. And then, your parents or grandparents are different. Thinking about how AI and being able to use it since you're as a child, the way that we use the technology that we're comfortable with now, like that is what's starting to blow my mind where they're going to take it. It's going to grow exponentially, and then these kids will be able to see it their entire lives. Like the opportunities that are going to come out of this, like how many extremely young entrepreneurs is this thing going to create? Because now you don't have to do it entirely by yourself. These kids have entire companies at the tips of their fingers. They can do everything.
Do you remember like the business plan you wrote, like over, I can't remember, it was overnight or over a weekend?
It was like I did one a day. So some context, a few months ago, I had been talking to Doug about like where I wanted to go in my career and how eventually I would love to get into, more of a strategic consulting role. And the first thing Doug was a very early adopter to the AI. I had kind of just like heard about it. And he was like, the biggest opportunity I see is like AI consulting. And he was like, you need to start playing with it. And it was after work every single day, immediately on ChatGPT, trying to break it to like 11 at night. And I remember writing a business plan every day for a week, like top to bottom with everything, like 13,000 word business plans, just asking it to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And that was on like the iteration of ChatGPT that was in, what was that, January or something?
Yeah, it was like 3.
Yeah.
Way more powerful now. And it's going to keep getting like that. It's going to become more and more in depth. And you can now, that was back when you couldn't even pull from the internet. You couldn't website scan. You couldn't, input PDFs or create stuff like that. Like it was pretty basic. And now if these kids have access to it and, the younger generation has some pretty incredible ideas and views of the world, like it's just a really cool thought to imagine. I mean, there's a dark and a light side to it, but if you choose to look at the light side, it's a pretty exciting thing.
Well, and that's where I see the biggest thing is when you use it to add more value, it's a very powerful tool. If you use it to be lazy, it will make you look very lazy. Like it will make mistakes. It will be lacking context. It will not be cited. I will say it should never be used as its original work. It's more of just a really good partner in brainstorming and helping getting things started. And then the real value, I think, of an agency is understanding, hey, that's not quite how we would talk about it to a customer. And then you can edit.
That's
It just frees up the efficiency. Eventually it starts to get it. It gets pretty smart, but
yeah,
I have yet to see it be perfect.
No, and hopefully it never is, right?
And that's why it is not a replacement of a copywriter, because the real thing that it can't do its job unless someone is inputting the right context and if someone is giving it the foundation that it needs to write it. And the big thing, like Ben and I were talking about this yesterday, where we were writing an article together, and the biggest thing is the prompt and making sure that the prompt is as detailed and you're giving it as much as it needs. And it's easier now that you can link to a website or put a PDF or a document in there, but still just giving it like the right amount of information and the right cues to, change this, fix this. That's still a huge part. And that's like, someone has to be doing that. And you're not going to, you're right. Like you can't be lazy with it. It still is work to get what you need out of it.
Hard work. What did we talk about yesterday when we were doing that? This is something Doug showed us very recently, was after you give it the information is ask it what questions do you have for me that will help you do it, and it's starting to put the onus on you to give more information. Like it's still hard work, it's just different.
And you realize how many questions it has too. Like it's thorough. We were watching it give us
Oh
the
no.
questions that it needed, and it was like hitting double digits. And we were like, wow, this thing, like it wants all the context. It will churn out the greatest thing, but you have to feed it what it needs.
But it's funny, to give you guys context, when you want to talk about efficiency and how to use the tool, I have a lot of travel coming up. Fall's my busiest travel season. I was in Chicago, middle of nowhere, about 4 hours south of Chicago. And I said, like, listen, we've got to work on this. It's a pretty big launch for a client, but I want you to figure out how to get the most out of ChatGPT. And we will do a separate episode on this. We'll do a screen share, but what they're talking about is setting context. So what I had said to them is give them essentially what would be a traditional brief. So, hey, we're looking to create a campaign for X, client is this, here's the domain. What questions do you need to know in order to build a campaign that will have press releases, paid social, organic social, and a fairly lengthy email campaign? And then what it comes back with is a really detailed list of questions. Now, most people, like just as traditional marketers, like these are things we would do in onboarding a client, but often we get busy, we rush, and we forget some of these. So the cool thing is when you use tools like ChatGPT, it doesn't have to be that. That's not the only one. It's going to force you to go through the right steps of building something out. If you ask it the right questions, that's the ironic. That's why it's called chat. It's meant to go back and forth. But if you just dictate it to say, hey, give me a social post for this domain, it'll do a decent job. But when you give it that level of context, I mean, we were very specific about what the product is. I think there's 14 or so questions.
Yeah, it might even be more than that.
Yeah, I mean, and the cool thing is like you can go into a topic and say, hey, do you understand this or do you need more information? And it starts to build this library and it gets smarter and smarter. And that's what machine learning's meant for, is it's meant to figure out, okay, am I off target? And the other thing is like when it completely botches a campaign and you say, hey, this is way off base, please go reference the original material. Like, oh, I'm sorry. And then it starts to correct. So you're just training somebody. It's almost like a member of your team. They've got to learn the account just like you did. They got to learn the business just like you did. So if you just slow down and put like a good hour's worth of work when you set up chat to help with a campaign, man, the output you do, like you have forever, is unbelievable. Like right now I'm playing with it. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but this book right here, this side, I've uploaded the entire book in there and I'm having it distill a curriculum out of the book. But you have to take the patience to put it in and like get it to work through it. And then from the curriculum, it'll produce social posts. Like all the social posts this week are from doing that. And it's amazing how much you can understand if you work with it. So those are things. And honestly, a big thing, if those of you watching, even if this is on YouTube, if there's something specific you want to learn, I can promise you one of two things. Our team will either go learn it and share it with you, and there's a pretty good chance they've already done it and we already know how to do it. So just ask your question in the comments. You can email them to us. You can DM them on Giant Goat Digital. I think that's the Instagram. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it.
Sweet. Look at this. I'm pre-logged in. I don't have to log in. So I just see it on my phone.
President of our company.
I'm like, I did get it right. I did get it right, but I'm logged in all the time. So I don't actually see the handle, but just share what you want to know. And we'll either find the answer if we don't have it, or we'll show you how to combine a couple different tools. I know some of them, we're going to go into tools beyond ChatGPT, but the main focus of what we're going to be on this show specifically is how we're leveraging it to help our clients. And if you have questions, by all means, post them in the comments. We're here to help you guys figure out how to scale your businesses and how to implement AI along the way. Anything you guys want to add before we sign off?
I think that was fun. That was cool. I'm looking forward to where we go next.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I wish we could keep going for an hour.
Yeah,
I will. Future ones, we definitely will. But as an intro episode, we've got to keep the good stuff for future episodes.
I agree. I'll save the question for next time. We'll do more existential stuff.
Sounds good. Even more exciting too, we have some awesome guests coming up. Our first big guest is going to be Joe Polizzi. I think he's coming mid-September. He's going to talk about the creator economy and some of the implications of AI. If you don't know Joe Polizzi, go look him up. I mean, he is the godfather of content marketing. He has published more about it. He has hosted more events about it, including Content Marketing World, which is the first week of September. I would highly recommend the show. Until next time, everybody, it's been a pleasure. We look forward to bringing tons of value your way as we climb this mountain. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.